Hey everybody, welcome to thetoys.com. This is Squirrel again. This is on how to install a clutch bell onto your engine the right way using the right tools. I messed up and accidentally took the spring out of my pull start, so I'm going to be doing this without a pull start, which is fine for the build. This was also off of my how to seal an engine video and thread, so if you want to know how to do that, check it out. It's going to be on YouTube and also the forum itself. The right tools I'm going to be using is just a regular tee that I got from any kit. This one's from a Lassie, I think probably the LST or the Muggy. That's going to be good for the clutch nut. Then I have a flywheel tool, which basically lines itself onto the poles of the flywheel, and you get a good grip on it. You don't have to use vice grips anymore. This is a clutch shoe tool, which allows you to move the spring of the clutch shoe itself, and also when you're trying to remove it, it does have a little grip right there which will pull the shoe off. Also, this is a battery termination puller. You can get this from any hardware store. It's actually less than 10 bucks. Axial has one, and the main differences between this and the Axial one is this is less than $10. Axial wants to sell theirs for $25, $35, something like that. This one's adjustable. The Axial one is not adjustable. The Axial one also has a sharp tip right there, which goes right into your pilot shaft where it's threaded. Personally, I'm not cool with that. I kind of like having something that goes around the base of the pilot shaft that's going to push down onto it. And I also like having something that's adjustable, so I can have something for small blocks, big blocks, and any size flywheel out there, which not all flywheels are the same size. So anyway, after I install the flywheel, I'm going to show you how to use this real quick for removal, but this is actually an installation video itself. So the first step is to put the collet on the pilot shaft of the engine. Mine's already on. This engine's actually already been built before. It's been sealed before, but since I didn't get engines in the mail from a modder, I'm going to have to go with what I have. So this one I already know is the right size collet, and at the end of the video I'll show you how to troubleshoot just in case the clutch bell isn't spinning right. So to put the collet on, I'm now going to take my flywheel and just slide it right on. After that, I'm going to take the flywheel wrench and put that right on. Go. And I'm just going to hand tighten the fly nut, or the flywheel nut, which this is actually a little faster than using the T. So right there. Now I'm going to take my T and put it right on. Now when you tighten this, you don't want to tighten it all the way. You could actually do damage to the engine. So right there at that step I'm going to stop. Now I'm going to go into removal. I'm going to go back and remove this. Now what a lot of people will do to remove a flywheel is they'll bang it with the hammer or mallet or whatever, and as you can see it's on there. I'm going to take my battery termination puller and I'm just going to put it right over the top, and I'm just going to push this down. Do it so you guys can see it, which is kind of hard for me. But all this is going to do is it's going to grab the side of the flywheel and it's going to push down on the pilot shaft, and as you can see it just pops right out. So it's actually easier on the pilot shaft. It's easier on your engine because rather than putting pressure or sideways pressure on the pilot shaft, which damages your internals, it actually applies even pressure down here where it's this one solid point and then pulls up on the actual flywheel itself. So now this is on. Now I have one pull out here, one pull right here, and one pull right there. When you're putting your shoes on, I already have my springs inside the shoes. It's important to note how I'm doing it. I'm actually going to have a picture inside the thread, but I'm going to have it where if you were to put it on, it would pull off this way, and that's how I kind of remember it. And I'll have a picture that's a little better too. If you have it the other way, when your engine starts to spin, your clutch shoes aren't going to be pulled outward to grab the clutch bell, and it's not going to basically drive. You're just going to be spinning the engine with no clutch bell is not going to get locked. The other thing to note is I'm going to do this one first, which is the easiest to do. This one's going to be the hardest to do, and then this one, if I do it second, is going to be the easiest. Basically, when I do this one, I'll have enough room to do this one, and then this one will be a pain in the butt, but I'll show you how to do it. If I did this one second, this one would be a pain in the butt, and then the third one's going to be the pain in the butt too. So I'd rather do it easy, easy, and then somewhat hard. All I'm going to do for this is to take this, slide it down the pilot shaft, and then slide it outward. And now, if you ever looked at the nut, it's got some ridges in it where the spring's going to lock into it. This actually pulls the spring to the side, and then it's basically a clear slide all the way down. So all you're doing there is just sliding it down like so. One shoe's already on. I've known some people, and I used to do this too, where we would spend hours, maybe not hours, but it would be a while just to get that on. And then once again, slide this over and then push it down. And then that's all there is to it. Now I'm up to the third one. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take a screwdriver and I'm going to pull the shoe out. And then the screwdriver is just going to hold the shoe out like so. Take my other one, and this is the tricky part, is having enough room between the screwdriver and the tool itself to form around the pilot shaft. And if I do have to pause this just so I can assemble it, it's just because it's taking too long. So if this gets edited out or later on, then know that that's just why. This one is a challenging one to do, and it's easier to have one challenging than several challenging, I can tell you that. Alright, so that one's in. Now I'm just going to pull the shoe out, and then hopefully just slide it on. Alright, that's on. So anyway, now we're moving on. Now I know that I need 2 shims in this engine, and even though I'm showing you how to do it, I only want to build this once because I had to do the thread last night. And yeah, I'm funned out on this. Anyway, now I have a 5x10 bearing. Any 5x10 bearing will do if you want to get a rubber sealed, metal shield, Teflon shield for better spinning, more weight, whatever. Or yeah. Just going to slide that on top of there, and then I have my clutch bell. If you notice, I have a side vented clutch bell. I would get one of these. If you're putting it inside a monster truck, we have space between the bottom of the flywheel and the actual chassis itself. I would get a fan flywheel. Those actually pulls the heat aside, or pulls the heat from it. And then if you have vented, this is even more cooling as well. And then if you have a buggy or a truggy, you're not going to have the space for it. So anyway, as you notice, this spins pretty freely, but that's not the actual test. The other thing is to put Loctite on your screw. I'll do that later, but for now, you don't want the screw backing out while it's spinning. Bad juju. Loctite will actually hold it in. So here we go. And as you can see, my clutch bell freely spins. This is fine, this is normal, this is the way it should be when it's fully installed. Another thing to note is when you actually have the bell itself, it's not pulling too much. It's got a little bit just so it can spin. I can also not see the clutch shoes as well. If this was not spinning, or it was spinning but I had too much pull inside the clutch bell, there's different things you can do. The first thing you can do is, if it's not spinning at all, basically your screw is way too tight and you need to lower your flywheel down. How do you do that? You have to disassemble this entire thing, which is fun. And then you shave the collet down with the metal file. Depending upon how much you need, maybe a millimeter or two. And then reassemble, put everything back on, and you should be able to spin it if you have enough shaved off. If not, you got to disassemble everything, and this is what I had to do to this engine. That's why I know everything is good on this one. If you have too much space in it, you need to start shimming it. Like I said, I have 2 shims in here. I have it right on top of the clutch nut, right behind the bearing. And you can also buy a shim kit, like an Offna shim kit, that will actually, it's little washers that will fit right in here, and that will tighten that up right there. Whenever you do little changes like that, you want to make sure that you don't see the bottom of the shoes on the bell. You want the shoes to cover everything completely on that bell. And with that, that is how you assemble a clutch bell.